Okay. Cavalera doing Chaos AD in its entirety with Fear Factory and Byzantine. And this was down in Norwalk, Connecticut. Right? Norwalk? Yeah. Right across from. No, I'm thinking of a different show. Anyway, right across from nothing. It doesn't matter. So, this was September 23rd. Now, KSAD. Um, I've been seeing a lot of Cavalera lately between Go Ahead and Die and then the reunion show. And I don't know, I've seen Max quite a bit lately. And to get to see them do Chaos AD, which is one of my favorite albums ever, definitely one of my favorite Sepultura albums, but was really special. And getting to see Fear Factory again, the nostalgia is pretty hard there, and they're one of the bands I've seen the most, so it's kind of nice. And I think Byzantine opened. I want to say Byzantine opened. Pretty sure Byzantine opened. But anyway, you don't really care. Um, so let's see, how do we start this? So it was one of my first shows ever in Connecticut, which was really cool. And it's hard to. Sorry, I don't know what's happening there. Okay, it's hard to say. Getting to see them in their prime probably would have been incredible. But getting to see them now is something that's still really important to me, right? It's the first time I got to see kind of Chaos AD be the centerpiece. Like I didn't get to see Sepultura tour that album. So Byzantine came out, and they were an interesting band. They were nice enough, and I think had I not been I don't know them at all. I don't know Byzantine at all. Had I not been there to see other bands, I probably would have enjoyed Byzantine. So they're kind of this mix of groove and thrash and prog. And for me, right, I'm not a big prog guy. Groove is cool, thrash is cool, and I think they've been around since I don't know 2000 or so. But so they came on, and they're different than both Cavalera and Fear Factory, but they did a good job. Right, they were good openers. They had good energy. They got the crowd, into it. I feel like it's hard to be an opening act for Fear Factory and for Cavalera because people are pretty into those bands, and they're pretty unique sounding. And so it's like, okay, if I'm going to be a band that's going to come out and do this, I need to be able to hold my own. And I feel like Byzantine did, and I feel like they are a band that I would see again. And who knows if they have a new album coming out? It's probably worth checking out. So Fear Factory came up next, and I got to see them on their first tour with Milo, with their new vocalist, and that was really cool. And they're definitely a little bit tighter now, and they were doing kind of their 30-year playthrough of Demanufacture. It wasn't quite the whole thing, but obviously a classic album, and definitely tighter. They played through it. They played a few extra songs from other albums that the crowd wanted to hear, and it's just got I remember seeing them back in the day, and the intensity of Fear Factory versus kind of like the legacy playthrough, which we're seeing now. Man, I miss it. No disrespect to the band, but it's just Fear Factory without that intensity is like it's a different thing. So they did good, and frankly, I'll probably see them again. But then time came on, and really, there's not a lot that even needs to be said. Cavalera did a great job. The band did a great job. Man, KSAD and how apropos with kind of the American struggle that's going on right now, right? Politically speaking, it's a fucking mess, and I feel like other countries would have handled this in a different way. And I feel like hearing KSAD was just a good refresher about, you know, the lengths at which you have to go to stand up against something so vile. So it was a great night, right? First time getting to go to see a show at Connecticut, or at least first time in a long time, getting to see one of my favorite albums, getting to actually hear two of my favorite albums. And all the bands delivered, right? Make no mistake about it. They all came. The fans of Fear Factory left happy. The fans of Cavalera left happy. People enjoyed Byzantine. You know, you could see people who weren't there to see the opening act were drawn to them. So I think it was a really good night as a concert. I think it was just kind of a weird transition through the three bands. So, you know, that happened some night, and there's nothing against anybody. I believe the tour's over now, but if you get a chance to see them, absolutely go see them. Yeah. All right.